The greenskin lifted the axe up to his shoulders from the haft of his back in a wide motion. This caused the halfling to jump back half a step and drop the rum. Damn it! He glanced down at the spilled bottle. The orc, meanwhile, didn't miss a beat. Bringing the blade close to his ear, he stood there, nodding. Looking horrified and intensely injured, if not physically, then at least emotionally, the small man started, Listen, I'll have you know. As the halfling was about to proclaim something of possible importance, he was cut off by a sailor popping out of the captain's quarter above them with a shout. Your attention, please! We'll be arriving shortly in Brick City. Please collect all of your luggage and wait aboard the deck. Thank you! The sea-bound announcer finished before he started directing a few other ship workers to go down to the holds below and arouse any sleepy or room-bound passengers. As the shouting ended, the small rush of hubbub rejuvenated in those already up on top of the ship. Both the orc and halfling watched the shift of the crowd in silence, although for much different reasons. The small man seemed stunned from being caught off guard in the middle of his precise persuasion attempts. Alternatively, the greenskin glared, looking more like an animal frightened by the loud voices and looking to see if it needed to pounce on anything or not. Meanwhile, more and more people seemed to be pairing them up as a single presence. The small man noted their behavior, all eyeing and talking, and in turn adopted a blank face. The orc's permanent scowl never unstuck itself from his face, so in that regard, not much has changed overall. When people finally decided to become the center of their own lives instead of watching the duo, the barely 75 centimeter man turned once more to the over 230 centimeter one. Look, if you're going to adopt that kind of attitude in the city, you won't get very. The halfling paused, the sound of something swiftly hitting wood vibrating through his ears and body. It was then that the orc's head jerked back from the small man to slightly to the side of him, and the two noted a hook sunk into the wooden planks of the ship, nary a step from them. The halfling jumped, or at least climbed gracefully, onto a barrel at the edge and leaned over it, while the orc skipped the first step to end at the same spot. Below, within the relatively calm waters of the canal, was a small boy, no larger than a four-man fit, upon which two hooded, similarly dressed men loomed. Water rippled visibly around them, indicating the possibility another few had been there before descending into the watery depths. A dark, fully cloaked figure was manning the oars. Both he and the small boat he came in were facing towards the ship. The other, similarly dressed man was holding the other end of the rather sturdy rope, a rope which was dangling down from a hook, the very hook struck near the duo up on the ship. The orc caught the edge of the ship's side with a hand firm enough to threaten the already questionable integrity of the wood, looking as if he was about to jump when a "Hey!" stopped him. The green, tusky man turned to the halfling, who pointed at the other side of the boat. There, another one of the black, obscured man-like figures was already up on board, finishing the motion of sinking a sword he unsheathed from his dark folds into another man's folds. Specifically, the creases of clothes across their stomach, making their short, violently more caral furrow, with a dreaded paint of red. As the stabbed sailor dropped onto the floor, the cloaked man wasted no time searching him, pulling a few pieces of coin, as well as a small rusty chain from his corpse, and stashing it in his own layered clothing. In an amazing mobile feat, the Urk turned around 180 degrees, ran towards the killer, and pulled out his axe in what looked like a singular act. It would have been mighty impressive to behold, as well, if his audience weren't all too busy screaming and running for their lives. As the hooded figure rose to its feet, it registered a blade coming from above a moment too late. The orc smashed down his opponent to a glorious sound of tonk and ksh. The large green man paused. He was accustomed to his enemies making sounds such as splosh and splish. Even the occasional sksh as he hit a really large bone he couldn't break. But this, he glanced downwards, kicking away the pile of black clothes obscuring the dirty remains of the corpse. Beneath the brown eyes of the warrior, he beheld a strange sight. There was broken wood, bent metal, and a cross sphere of glass that split out various coins and bits of metal and stone. He recognized those awkward pieces as being called jewelry by the less refined races. The same races who didn't know jewelry in fact consisted of the skulls of the things you killed, mounted proudly on your shoulder pads. Note that it wasn't a jewel if you didn't mount it proudly. Otherwise, an orc would just call it an extra piece of clothing. The orc felt cold pain, but didn't move much, perhaps just a slight recoil. He hadn't heard the other cloaked figure rise up from the boat and send its weapon up his back, not until it was already deeply lodged into his green, now somewhat more red at the spot, skin, even going as far as ripping some of the animal pelts barely covering his form. It was not a moment after that a sound echoed, as the smashed face of the figure imploded at a collision with lightning accuracy. Of course, accuracy alone can smash faces, and so a small stone rolled down to the floor as the stabbing figure, now headless and hanging onto the edge of the boat, lost balance and fell backward to a large sploosh. The large green man looked back to see the halfling wielding a sling, which the small man proudly presented upwards. Maybe I was wrong. You may actually make it in the city. The halfling started, smirking. The gruff voice of the orc erupted, the axe once more moving onto his shoulder, the blade by his ear. Mika Hirschfield, a pleasure to meet you. Now, let's get out of here alive. Together, shall we?